So the dream team for the final round of the Rugby Championship. This has been a pretty hard one to pick. I am still using the headphone as my microphone, the earphones. Hopefully by tomorrow I should be able to sort out a proper camera and microphone. Probably been a wee while coming, but yeah, about time I get around to that because the last microphone stuffed out. So see how we go tomorrow with some new kit. Hopefully that's a good sign for where the channel's at, that I'm actually getting some proper kit for a change. But hey, Dream Team is why we're here. As I said, hard. I'm looking at these names, and some of these names jump off the page, and that's how it is most weeks. There's names that jump off the page, and you're kind of like, yes, 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 these guys were all outstanding. But this week was a funny old week. I mean, that Argentinian and Springbok game in itself, like you could look at any of the guys from the Pumas or the Wallabies and look at half of their game and go outstanding, and the other half terrible. So it is difficult. The All Blacks Springboks game was also kind of, also a game of two halves in its own way. So certain positions, I'm really happy. Some of them could be multiple guys, and some positions are just okay. So I'll let you know my thoughts as I go through them, because you guys, with other sets of eyes on the games, can let me know who else you thought was good, because it's certainly not limited to the guys I got here. But yeah, I had to give it a crack. So here we go. Props. I'm getting to be a bit of a fanboy of Stephen Kitsoff, and to be fair, not his best week. He's had better games, but props were a bit of a mission this week. It wasn't like that Argentina-New Zealand game where one side really got on top scrummaging-wise. There wasn't a prop who was kind of a big try-scoring machine. No prop who made hundreds, or not hundreds, but loads and loads of tackles. So it's been a tricky one. Kitsoff got a try assist, which is always good for a prop. 6 passes, which is high for a prop. 6 runs and 1 meter run, which is not the most. 3 out of 4 tackles, solid in the scrum without spectacular. He's all right. Has he had better weeks? Yes. Next, I've gone from the Pumas, Ramiro Herrera. He's only been a recent call-up to the Pumas. He's come back from Europe to play. Last week, they were under the pump like nobody's business. This week, solid, and actually kind of started to dominate as the game went on. So, solid scrum. He went off when I'm not actually sure how many minutes he played, but he was starting in the good half of the Pumas game anyway. So, solid scrum, 4 runs for 2 meters, 7 from 7 tackles. When you look at the Pumas' tackle stats this week, 7 from 7 tackles is a very, very good effort, because there were a lot of missed tackles from other guys. So I'm kind of putting that into a bit of context of how that Pumas defense was this week. Hooker was a 50-50 call, really. Call me All Blacks biased, but I gone with Cody Taylor. He had a try assist, which was a key moment of the game. The All Blacks were starting to look dead and buried, but he got a turnover and set up a try for Aaron Smith with that one pass that he made. 3 runs, 23 meters, a clean break, which was the try setup. 1 defender beaten, 9 from 10 tackles, very good for a turnover. If you were to say to me, hey, put Malcolm Marx in there, those turnovers of his were key, defensive work solid, sure, no worries. 50-50 call. I don't think the Argentina Wallabies game had a particularly big performer like these two guys, but Marx or Taylor, happy. Both played a lot of minutes, I think 70 plus. Next, from the Wallabies, I've gone with Isaac Rodda. This guy's still only very young, but he's coming along pretty nicely. He got a try, and he kind of set it up by charging a ball down. So he charged it down, picked it up. He charged it down, Hooper picked it up, and then Hooper passed it to him. He went in for a try. So 1 pass, an offload, 5 runs, 15 meters, a clean break, which was his try. 14 out of 14 tackles. And again, in the context of this game, like Herrera, there weren't many guys who were 100% with their tackles, and 14 tackles for a lock is a good outing. So he actually put in a solid shift. Next, from the All Blacks, I've gone with Scott Barrett. A big effort from from the big man. I mean, he's probably the least talked about Barrett because his brother is, World Player of the Year, Mr. All Blacks number 10. His other brother's the young gun on the fast track for the All Blacks, but this guy's getting in there doing that grunt work. He had a try, a pass, 6 runs for 5 meters, nothing outstanding, but he had 12 from 12 tackles and a key line-out steal in that game. Line-out work was solid overall. He's a very good player. In Barrett, Whitelock, and Retallick, the All Blacks have got 3 kind of top-class locks. Below that, I'm not quite sure about the depth, but definitely the cream of the crop is very good. Next, from the Springboks, not his first time on here, I have gone with Sia Kolisi. He had a try assist. Finally, the big man passed it. We finally saw him pass it. He got a big run. I think it was Perry that he ran over. 6 passes, so good man. Like, if you're a Springboks fan, you know what I'm talking about. The guy's been guilty of not passing it a few times. An offload, 10 runs for 26 meters. 12 out of 15 tackles is the highest Springboks tackler from this week. And this is a team which includes guys like Mostert, Peter Steph Dutoy, who make tackles for fun. Kolisi was the highest tackler. Usually you think Kolisi's tackle stats are going to be all right, and his kind of tackle busts are going to give an edge to the game, which perhaps Peter Steph doesn't have. Highest tackler. Next highest block only had 9, and I think that was Cheslin Colby. So big effort from the big man with 12 from 15 tackles. Next, from the Wallabies, man, I think I picked this guy pretty much every week. David Pocock, a try, 2 try assists. What didn't he do in this game? 10 passes, 2 offloads, 2 clean breaks, 3 defenders beaten, 13 runs, 48 meters. I know this is rattling off stats, but man, the guy makes stats just crazy. 18 out of 19 tackles, which is the highest of the week. So nobody in any team this week tackled more than David Pocock, which is kind of not all that surprising because he is a tackling machine. The next highest was 14 tackles, and I think that was Ryan Crotty. So, yeah, 14 tackles for David Pocock. Big effort. I haven't put Michael Hooper in this team, but his tackle stats weren't that far behind. I think they were kind of like 12. He had a key turnover, scored a try as well. So Hooper had a big game as well. He's kind of always in the shadow of Pocock in my dream teams. I know some of you guys would rather see Pocock as the Wallabies captain, but yeah, both good players. Pocock is the man for my dream team this week. Next, it has been brought to my attention that I pretty seldom bring on guys for my dream team who played from the bench. Well, I am going to put one here in Ardie Savia. He came on fairly early after 35 minutes, and you got a feel for Sam Cane. The guy's got like a fracture in his neck, which, I mean, Steve Hansen played it down to say, like, it's just like any other injury. It takes a bit of time to heal. Let the doctors deal with it. But, oh man, as fans, you hear fracture and neck, and your skin just starts to crawl because that's very worrying stuff. Hopefully he's all good. But Ardie Savia, 35 minutes when he came on. I mean, talk about the kind of clutch moments from this guy because he's the guy who scored the try in the 79th minute. He is the one who kind of got the turnover, which led up to that, that attacking phase. In terms of his stats, 2 passes, 6 runs, a defender beaten, 7 from 7 tackles. Pretty solid all around the park, but key moments which won the All Blacks that game, linked to the work that Ardie Savia was doing. Next, this is a pick that I'm not all that happy with. I'm not sure who to go with. I've gone with Aaron Smith. Looking at stats, which I know don't always tell the full story. 27 passes, which is not that many for a number 9. 4 runs, 39 meters, a clean break, 2 defenders beaten, 4 from 5 tackles, which is pretty good. Scored a try, which was key in the end of that game. I mean, but you look at the impact TJ Perenara made when he came on. I think that probably added something to the All Blacks and helped them get over the line. Faf de Klerk, his kicking was a lot better this week than the weeks before. And, I mean, his role in that Springbok defence kind of can't be underestimated. He's always making those little harrying runs. Bertrand and Guinea both had try assists, so I was kind of just picking one from the hat this week. I'm not real sold on Aaron Smith, but I have picked him, so you guys let me know, especially for number 9, who you want in, because as I said, not totally sold. I'm also not totally sold on number 10. I have gone with another sub. And the reason I don't usually go with the replacements is because it's hard to know. If a guy comes on for 10 minutes and looks really good, it's easier to look good for 10 minutes than it is for 80. So I don't always pick the subs. I tend to go for the guys who start and play for the 80. I mean, they tend to accumulate better stats playing more time as well. But I have gone with Richie Mo'unga. He came on kind of early on in the second half. I think it was Naholo that went off, so he came on at 10. Bodie went to 15, and then Ben Smith moved to the right wing. And then Sonny Bill went off about 10 minutes later, and that combination of shuffling seemed to spark something in the All Blacks backline. And if the backline is going to spark, it needs to come from number 10. So I'm going to give Richie a fair bit of credit for that. Also, 2 key kicks in the game. Obviously, he kicked the penalty, which got the All Blacks right down on the Springboks corner, able to attack from only a few metres out, and he also kicked the winning conversion. So in terms of pressure, it doesn't get much more pressure than that game against the Boks at Loftus, coming on when they're well behind. So I'm going to give him a bit of credit there for getting things on the right track. Certainly showed that he's got what it takes to perform at that highest level. So, I mean, Barrett, Pollard, Sanchez went off, Foley. It's hard to pick from that game. So, feedback, it was a hard one to pick. I just thought for the minutes he played, Mo'unga looked really good. Midfield, going with Geronimo De La Fuente from the Pumas. Again, hard one to pick from that game, but from what his stats are, I'll give you the rundown. So 2 try assists, which is what you want from your midfielders if he's not going to be scoring himself. 5 passes, an offload, 4 runs, 16 metres, a clean break, 2 defenders beaten, and 5 from 7 tackles, which in the context of that game, both sides had a lot of guys whose negative tackle stat is higher than their tackle stat. So 5 from 7 counts as actually pretty solid. So, yeah, good bit of creative spark in that Pumas backline, but in the second half, just no ball. Next, from the Boks, I have put in here Jesse Creel. And I said in my review, he was annoying me a bit in this game because he wasn't passing, and then he went and scored a try. So he did get a try. 3 passes from 7 runs. 66 metres is pretty solid. 3 passes. I suppose De La Fuente only had 5, so yeah, 3 passes. 2 clean breaks, 2 defenders beaten, made 3 from 3 tackles, had a good turnover on the ground. So a good solid shift from him. Him and Dialende, his midfield partner, come under a bit of scrutiny in their Bok midfield. It is an area where there's a lot of depth. He's still got a wee ways to go to making that 13 jersey kind of his own. I'm not sure this was his best performance in that jersey by any means, but it was solid. So I'll give him some props there. Ryan Cruddy could also be here as well. Like I said, the guy made 14 tackles, so solid shift from him. Like if you look at Sonny Bill and he was quiet. Reece Hodge, who I've really been looking at favourably recently, he was missing a fair few key tackles in that Wallabies game. So hard to pick from that other game. Anyone else apart from De La Fuente. So I've gone with Creel for this one. But, again, not a perfect performance from Creel. As I said, just kind of solid. Outside backs, I've gone with Dane Hillett-Petty. He's Mr. Consistent guy for the Wallabies. I mean, 2 tries, 8 passes, 15 runs for 125 metres. I haven't seen many stats like this from a guy other than Rico Ioane for a long time, kind of since Super Rugby, but 125 run meters is awesome. 3 clean breaks, 4 defenders beaten, 1 from 2 tackles, not called to make on many tackles, but perhaps could have been in better positions to stop some of those early tries, but still, some of them were kind of from quick turnover balls, so he's probably up on the line. Dane Hillett-Petty, good shift from him. It's going to be interesting to see if he retains that 15 spot and Folau on the right wing, kind of going forward. Next, Emiliano Boffelli. Mostly for the first half because he got a try, 5 passes, 15 runs, 141 run meters, which is the most of this week by a very long shot. I don't think anyone in the Springboks All Blacks game got anywhere near 100 run meters, and this guy had 141. So it kind of speaks to the nature of that game, how it seemed like one team was always running kind of with the wind or downhill or something, because there was a lot of run meters from some of these outside backs. But a clean break, 3 defenders beaten, 5 from 8 tackles is not the best, but it's in that game serviceable. Still, he's been a great player throughout the whole Rugby Championship. And last one, I've gone with a Springbok. I have gone with, oops, I'm dropping him all over the place, Willie LaRue. He had a try assist, 15 passes, an offload, 8 runs for 30 metres, 1 clean break, 3 defenders beaten, made 1 from 1 tackles. Good work under the high ball. Others have pointed it out, and I'm kind of seeing it more as it has been pointed out to me. Like if you watch some of those guys on the 10-14 talking about his role, not just them, but other people as well, his role as kind of a distributor and playmaker and defensive organizer for the Springboks kind of can't be understated, and it's unfortunate that he went off with a concussion in that game. Nothing to say that I don't want to see more of Damian Willemse. I love seeing that guy play. He put on a real good step in that game as well. But LaRue is a really key part of that Springbok side, so for him to go off was pretty unfortunate. I think they definitely look better with him on the park. So that is the dream team for the final week 6 of the Rugby Championship. As I said, it was a tough one because the games were a bit, especially the Argentinian-Australian game, a bit weird in terms of just how it was so different in each half. But even the All Blacks and South African game was really kind of low scoring and then opened up. So yeah, interesting game. Both. You guys let me know your thoughts on the picks. Who else would you have there? Because as I've said, and I highlighted some of them, I'm not totally sold on some of them. Some of them were definitely key. Some of these guys key for the time that were on the field, and some just kind of good throughout. But you guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.